Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Labor Day. I thought I'd give you a real quick shout out. Just wanted to touch on where the real estate market is today here in the grand Tampa Bay area. So, people for years have been asking me questions, and I love it when people ask questions because that's what I'm here for. But I've also had a lot of people make, they make these predictions, and they love to talk about how the market's going to crash. It's going to crash. I've been hearing this for a number of years. The market's going to crash, Joe. It's going to crash. You wait, man. You wait, and then that's what I'm going to go buy. Well, people have said this to me over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years. I bought my home 5 years ago. I've been told by a few people that it was not a wise purchase because my home needed a lot of remodeling. Well, here's real world experience. I paid $377,500 for my home. And I will admit, when I purchased it, because of the fact that it needed extensive remodeling, I considered the home to be overpriced for what it was. In fact, I was not happy when I found out that there were a few things that had not been cured by the previous seller. But here's the reality. 5 years later, my home has been 75% remodeled. It's encroaching on 100% remodeled within probably the next 6 months. What's the resale value on my home when it's completed? Somewhere between $850,000 and $900,000. Now, why do I point that out? Am I bragging about my house? No, I'm talking about real estate over a period of time. If you go out and feel free to do this while I'm rambling on my little rant here, just go on to Google and Google how the majority of millionaires made their money. Just look it up. It's not my statistics, it's Google. It's out there on the web. You're going to find out that most millionaires made the majority of their money through real estate. So many people, I feel like they look at the real estate market as it's all speculation. It's all speculative. Well, if it's low, I'll get in. If it's high, I'll stay out. I'm looking at homes right now on one of my screens here, Palm Harbor, Florida. Right now, this house would have sold for somewhere in the neighborhood of about $200,000 just 5 years ago. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,197 square foot home. So a small lot, so roughly a 6,000 square foot lot. The current price on this house is $399,900, right? And you go, yeah, but that's crazy. And I go, no, that's where the market is. The reason the market has gone there is because so many people have migrated out of the eastern northeast seaboard, and they've migrated out of the Pacific Northwest and California, other parts of the country where they finally realized that life in Florida, not so bad. Maybe one want to live there full time. So now we have 1,000 people a day that are migrating into Florida, and it's driven our market up because we stopped building between 2008 and 2009. And we didn't start building again until roughly about 2013, 2014. So it's created this void where there aren't enough homes. Now, if you're saying to yourself, yeah, but you see, I'll just save $50,000 and I'll sit on the fence for another 4 years. I'll continue paying rent because I'm not going to pay 7.25% interest. I would like to point out to you that rent is 100% interest. There's no return on rent. You're actually paying for somebody else to own that property. And if I was the apartment owner, I'd say, thank you very much. Thanks for helping me build wealth through assets, because that's what real estate technically is. It's wealth building over time. It's not get rich quick. In some cases, it's not get rich. But it is wealth building over time because you're putting money into an asset, especially if you live here in the Tampa, Florida region. So how do I get in? What's your entry? I know you're sitting there saying, okay, Mr. Expert, how do I get in? What's my entry point? Well, your entry point is based on several factors. But if you don't get in the market, if you don't get into the real estate market, you're never going to get the appreciation. And if you think that it's just going to go down and this home that's $400,000 in 2 years is going to be worth $200,000, it's not. Because it's not the house, it's the land under it that actually has greater value. People want to live in specific neighborhoods. They want to live in specific locations. And Palm Harbor is a hot community. I just happen to live in what wasn't, it was okay, but it's actually become one of the hottest zip codes in the state. And it's unique. We don't always know how that's going to work out, but it just happened that it worked out that way. So you should be looking at these factors. Look at the area codes. Look at the areas that you think are good for growth, that are low on crime and have good schools. And that's really where you should start if you're going to go home shopping. The second part of that is don't overbuy and don't overexpect. If you're going to go buy a 30-year-old house and say to yourself, well, I'm paying $400,000, I should get a new kitchen and a pool, don't even bother. You're going to be highly disappointed. You're not going to get those things at $400,000. You're going to get a few homes here and there. I actually had a couple few years ago, and they had this demand. They had this demand list, and it had to have a pool, and it had to have a yard, and it had to have this, and it had to have that. And Joe, if we don't get these things, we're just not going to buy the house, Joe. And you know what? They ended up not even buying a home in Tampa, Florida. Why? They had to move to the outskirts in a community on the other side of the state because they couldn't get past the fact that what they wanted wasn't available for the price point they had. And at the time, the price point was like $325. It was actually decent. It was several years ago. Now that same home, if they would have bought one of those homes that I was showing them, that same house would be worth over $600,000. So that's what I'm trying to point out to you is for those of you sitting out there and thinking you're going to wait another 5 years, this home that I'm looking at today, that's $399,000, in 5 years' time, I assure you, that home is worth at minimum, $450,000, $475,000, pick a number, because it's certainly not going to be $399,000. And the homes out there today that are sitting there at $750,000, $800,000, they're not going to be available in 5 years' time at $500,000, $550,000. It's not happening, right? And especially if that home is remodeled, forget it. Just forget it. My house remodeled is worth $900,000. I paid $377,500. That's what I paid for the house. And it's 75% done. So this is how real estate works. It's not just about emotional buying. There actually is a formula between entry time and if you're going to sell the house and move up. If you'd like information on that, I'm happy to help you. It's not a sales pitch. It's just what I do. As you can see, I'm sitting here on Labor Day looking at real estate as I always do. So if you've got questions, you can reach out to me, Joe at Core Florida Realty. Hope you guys are having a great holiday. Take care.